Alright, this is going to be a quick video about doing some diode dynamics demon eyes in these 350Z headlights, and that is going to be controlled with the XK Chrome app, but we're not going to really talk about the app right now. We're mainly just going to talk about what it takes to actually mount these things, and I'm going to show you on that unit right there. If you haven't already, definitely check out the video right there that shows how we get to this point where we've got everything completely taken apart. And now the thing I'm going to attack is I'm going to take off this upper turn signal section so that we have full access to this projector, and then I'm going to pop the lens off and I'm going to mount this demon eye on the inside of that projector. And I'm going to show you a cool little trick that I can do with this thing that's going to make that install way easier. For quite a while, I have had this little dude just waiting to go on these lights. And so this is an etched projector lens. It's gonna sit right there in place. But before I put it where it's gonna live forever, I still have to drill a hole into the inside of this. Now this is a very particular projector because it's got a little flip down window inside. And that's to allow it to go into high beam mode because this is the HR style headlight. This is a depot headlight. I need to drill a hole in this big thick metal enclosure right here, but I have to do it in a place where it's not going to interfere with that moving little mechanism inside. So I'm going to aim for just this very little edge right here, and that shouldn't have any sort of impact whatsoever on the actual window inside. All right, and before we get into that, I just have to disconnect this wiring from the actual demon eye, and Diode Dynamics makes it very easy for me to do that because they've added this little connector right on board. So this is cool because it's gonna allow me to make an opening for my wires without having to include this whole section right here. What I'd like to do is center the little LEDs on here as much to the center as I can, but I can tell you right now it's not gonna sit flat, and so I'm literally just gonna force it down with my finger. I'm gonna push down really hard right here, and it's basically gonna bend right here. You're gonna hear a little crack. I don't know if you could hear that, but there's our bend. Now it's got the ability to sit totally flat, so I can run my wire through the front right here and then plug it right back in after I've made that hole. Now, the only way I can make that hole very easy to make, it's gonna be messy, but I'm gonna take my little impact drill and I'm just gonna start with a small bit, and I'm gonna work my way up, and then I'm gonna open up the side of that little drilled hole just a bit. So here we go. All right, next size. Now I know that the end of the wiring is not gonna fit perfect, so I'm gonna open it up and oblong a little bit. Now, it's super important that we get all of this little metal shavings out because that could bridge one of our electrical connections inside. So let me hit this with air really quick. Now, if everything went perfect, then we should be able to fit our demon eye wiring straight through that hole. And there we go. So not that hard to drill that hole at all. It just took a little bit of stepping and then just kind of back and forth with that really nice sharp bit. If you don't have a good sharp bit, it's obviously gonna be a little bit more of an issue for you. So now I'm gonna take this, and now is where we're gonna do our tape. All right, now not only is this thermal tape really, really strong and sticky, but it actually has the properties of being a great way to help cool this LED off because there is a heat sink on the bottom, and this tape is designed to work with heat sinks just like this. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to put this on the bottom of the demon eye, and then I'm gonna run the wires back up through it, plug them back in, and just the ability of being able to plug this thing back in without ever having to drill the giant hole to fit the actual demon eye itself in, I mean, that's like a completely different ball game than how it typically would be if we were trying to mount this whole thing in there. All right, so I want this to sit super flat, and I want my LED be situated as close to the middle as possible. This is definitely not gonna be your average demon eye mounting method. Almost every single time I see demon eyes, they're mounted like somewhere on the top, aiming down. In this, I wanna be able to see the actual LED shine and just pump out of the lens and hook upward like I've talked about in quite a few of my other demon eye videos. I like a good hooker. This aluminum tape is not to hold it down. It's not to tape it in place. thermal tape on bottom, which is holding it into place, is just having an easier job now because I've got this nice strong aluminum tape on the top. Now you can spend a ton of time doing this and completely layer all the aluminum tape in there exactly how you want it to be. It will be slightly visible because it has a clear lens going right here now. And what I'm concerned with is just that there's no way in shaking or rattling that this wire gonna have any impact on that LED. It is in place with thermal tape and with aluminum tape on top. And now I could stick that pretty new clear lens on it with the etching. We can test out this LED and then we're ready to reseal these lights. I just used some water on a really clean microfiber cloth. And I'm just going over all of this to make sure that there's no fingerprints or anything crazy on there. And I should, and I will even have my gloves on right now because I'm gonna have to touch some other stuff that cannot have any sort of prints on it, including some shiny black plastic and some clear plastic. I might as well get to it now. So I think this guy's good to go. Just don't want to have any sort of fingerprints on there. All right, now instead of completely doing a bunch of wiring just to check if this works, I'm just gonna unplug this guy right here. And there we go. Now this has that flicker that I love because that little LED that's deep inside there, it's catching the curve of that lens right there, and it's just flicking it straight up. So when you're walking past this car and the demon eyes are on, which they're not always gonna be on, but when they are, it's gonna hook right upwards towards your eyes, which is great. Now, I had a bunch of boneheads in one of the videos where I was talking about this on a 370Z. They were like, oh, you're the reason why I can't see and these people want to blind me when I'm driving my truck and their newfangled demon eyes are just shooting up in the air and being problematic and causing accidents. You're the guy that I hate, right? But as it stands, they look pretty good. You saw the first video about opening them up. Now they got some demon eyes and it was a very basic install, so short and sweet. I hope it helps, and I'll see you tomorrow on more Vlogmas. See ya.